There's been a war brewing in the borough of Brent for a while now. Most of it happened in the northwest and west region of London. Today we'll be looking at two particular sets who have been at each other's throats for a minute now, and some key events involving their allies. Firstly, I'll take you to the Mozart estate, home of the gang HRB, also known as Harrow Road Boys. The estate is actually a very nice place. However, it has high levels of social need and social housing. Geography is said to be one of the explanations for the violence, as the estate, although in the borough of Westminster, is very nearby to the borough of Brent, where located are most of their rivals. In the early 2010s, Mozart Estate and West London in general was put on the map by Ratlin after he dropped a Messiah remix. This song was ringing throughout the city, and to many it gave West London credibility. You see, West London is generally pretty much seen as one of the most poshest and richer sides of London. This causes a lot of people to deny any struggle or brush off any talks of hoods being there. It's why rappers there aren't taken serious. There's even some lingering stigma till this day. However, present day West London rappers are the face of UK drill. Oh, how the tables have turned. Now let's look into the modern day HRB set. HRB are allied with several sets within the NorthWest region. Kensal Green Boys, Active Gangs, St. Raphael's, to name a few of them. One thing all these sets have in common is the fact that they flag red. Now, I wouldn't say Bloods and Crips are a thing in London. However, they definitely use the aesthetic to distinguish themselves from their ops for the most part. Phrases like Su Woo and Blue Woo are also used. Modern day HRB is spearheaded by boss figure and hugely successful UK rapper Fredo. He's evidently the face of the gang. He blends a nice trap star but very fashion oriented style into his music and appearance, and is extremely rated. Now on to South KILBURN Estate, home of UK rap legend C-Biz, who as for style isn't really much different to Fredo, also a fashion hate who devotes his life to getting money, which is seen from his movement ER. Everything's relevant, eating right, etc., with the E being a pound sign of course. He's seen in interviews saying ER is meant to motivate and inspire everyone, and how there's no excuse for being broke. Being broke as an able man genuinely makes him feel sick, as you can see in this interview.
Is there any excuse to be broke?
No.
Nah.
You're an arsehole to be broke.
Why?
And you're a man.
South KILBURN members flag blue and are allied with Stonebridge, Ladbroke Grove, 51st, etc. Both estates, Mozart and South KILBURN, were once unified, until members from Mozart started having hostilities towards certain members from South KILBURN. This related to money issues. Over time, greed and envy led to a span of stabbings and shootings which had escalated into murders. Fence-sitting was no longer an option. Close friends were forced to pick a side. Focus on this particular video isn't the history, so I'll leave the in-depth storytelling of how things transpired for another video, but rather focus on strings of violence that occurred between these two once united estates. On March 4th, 2007, Tank, a South KILBURN member, was sitting in his Audi in broad daylight on Scrubs Lane in Harlesden. A shooter pulled up next to him in another car and fatally shot him 3 times. The killer then drove off and Tank was pronounced dead at the scene. Tino Cavallella, also known as Tanks, is thought to have been part of the South KILBURN gang, and his murder is believed to have been part of a feud between his gang, Mozart, and Kensal Green Boys. On April 2012, Mozart member Hersey was shot in the chest twice on Mozart Estate by South KILBURN members. He was taken to hospital, where his condition was initially described as life-threatening. However, he recovered later and was said to be in stable condition. Officers believed his assailant arrived at the estate by car. Sadly, just like every war, those who have nothing to do with it always get caught in between the violence. And this rang eerily true when an innocent nursery teacher named Nohana was hanging out in the South KILBURN estate. 3 members of HRB opened fire into a crowd and killed Mohana as she was struck in the chest, due to the bullet ricocheting off a nearby wall. HRB members involved in the murder will be charged, however cleared later. The murder remains unsolved till this day. Now come the mid-2010s, a new generation of youngsters came to the forefront of both estates. For KILBURN, prominent members such as 18 Clappo, 18 Mish, Broadday Ye started making music and putting Killy on the map. They now refer to themselves as SSK, also known as Southside Killy. The new generation mainly has problems with the same areas, Mozart and Church Road. As for HRB, Fredo won in a power struggle against older boss Belly after he returned from prison and saw the young boys he once told what to do became bosses themselves. Fredo came out on top and kicked Belly off the block. On July 2020, an event occurred that will change the dynamics of this beef forever. So pivotal that it will lead to a string of other tragic events. Ahmed Yassin Ali, 18, aka Arms, who was close to a few HRB members, was stabbed to death. Ahmed was found at around 12:30 am with multiple stab wounds. Officers gave him first aid and he was taken to Central London Hospital, but he tragically passed away at around 1 am. See, the death of Arms hit Billy the Kid, a HRB member and close friend of Ahmed, extremely hard. He and some friends didn't waste time in trying to get back for their fallen brother. Less than a day passed and Billy the Kid and other members rode out via car on the Stonebridge estate, looking for members to feel their pain. Billy hopped out of the car and began firing. Unfortunately for him, his ops were armed and dangerous. Stonebridge members fired back during the shootout and shot Billy in the chest. The friends in the car were also hit but drove off, leaving Billy on the floor where he died minutes later. Videos circulating on Snapchat of him in the middle of the street with his eyes shut as paramedics tried to resuscitate him. Police labelled it as a crushing defeat. Now, to add salt into the wounds of his friends who had to leave him, they were charged for his murders. Individuals from the opposing gang who fired upon them were not identified by investigators, and members of Billy's own gang were charged with his death in what is believed to be a legal first. A prosecutor told the courtroom that the humiliation suffered by Billy's fellow gang members must have been more than equal the pain they felt at the loss and injuries they have been inflicted upon them. Mr. Glasgow QC said, adding that it also led to a defeat that had been seeing them abandon their friend to die on the streets of their rivals. Gritty and Bizzle from St. Raphael's estate were proven to not be guilty in court of his murder, but will still do time under the pretext of a law that suggests had they not got into the car with him in the first place, Billy wouldn't have died. Crazy, man, things couldn't have gone any more wrong. This was the true definition of hitting rock bottom. South KILBURN members didn't waste time to get disrespectful. Rappers MLO and Phibbs dropped one of the most disrespectful songs to come out from the beef, mocking the fact that 2 people died in the space of a day, and the intro of the song mocks the ordeal that left Billy's friends to abandon him. Now, on August 12, 2020, emergency services were called to reports of a shooting in Hansel Road at 12:20 am. On Wednesday, Mr. Wegby, 26, aka Gucci, was attacked at home and was found with a gunshot wound to his chest, Scotland Yard said. Despite their efforts of officers and paramedics, the man was pronounced dead at the scene. Shortly after, HRB rapper Little Dots and active gang member Broad Day dropped a super fire drill track dissing Gucci, as well as paying tribute to their fallen friend Billy. The video was almost at 1 million views in under a day before police took it down. Now, a string of back and forth social media shenanigans, stabbings and shootings happened after, but fortunately nothing fatal happened until 2022.
Look, ops getting shot out here, can't even let the woman get through to their yard in peace, man. What going on with you, man? Don't come around here and get hit up, then got my residents troubling to get into their spot. Aye, officer? Start the forensics.
Now let's take a look at Little Dots, the face of the new generation HRB. He has 2 brothers in Wu and G Dots. G Dots was sadly killed in a police chase. He was only 15 in a Nissan Micra, which is believed to have been travelling at 70 miles per hour before it crashed. On Tuesday 19th July 2022, Wu, the older brother of Little Dots, was shot outside a block of flats in Queen's Park, West London. He took himself to hospital after being shot and received treatment, but died soon after. A post-mortem examination confirmed he died from a gunshot wound to the heart, and that he had also been shot in the back. Tributes flooded in from friends and family. Not many can comprehend the sheer pain his little brother was going through. To have now lost 2 brothers to the street must be gut-wrenching. But here's an interesting video from Wu a while before he passed. Here he says, "My hit has come quick."
I'm like Reese Money. See my hit, they come quick. So you might be out for a week only.
Not even a month passed after Wu's death, and South Kilburn were fatally struck again. On the 4th of September, Maximilian Cusi, 29, aka M Low, you know, the rapper I spoke about earlier, the one that made the super, disrespectful diss song towards Billy. Well, he was found suffering from gunshot wounds at Kensington High Street shortly after 2 AM on Sunday. He was rushed to Central London Hospital, where he died shortly after at 5:30 AM.